Hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on LS eCommerce for Magento, a live demo. My name is Petur Thor Sigurdsson, Product Director for LS Pay and LS eCommerce here at LS Retail. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few items so you know how to participate in today's event. Firstly, this webinar is being recorded and we will distribute the link to the recording shortly after the webinar. Then secondly, all participants are muted and we will have a Q&A session at the end. So as we progress through the webinar, please type in your questions in the question panel found in the attendee console, and I will then read out loud your questions and answer them at the end of our session. With LS eCommerce, we are covering a lot of material this week, hosting 2 webinars. Last Monday, we did a webinar on the bigger picture of our e-commerce offering and how LS Central helps you follow the modern-day customer journey. And today, we are diving into the details with a hands-on demo using our Magento frontend. If you're joining us now and missed the earlier session, then please reach out and we'll get a recording sent out to you. And just to set the context, this will be our demo environment today. At the bottom, we have LS Central version 15.02 running the point of sale and the back office components where all the data has been set up. Then we have the Omni server exposing our e-commerce API. And then finally, we have Magento running our LS Retail extension covering the integration between LS Retail and Magento. In short, we set up all of our data in LS Central. We then replicate everything over to the Magento platform to ensure that our e-commerce site can perform as elegantly as possible. And then, at various times, Magento will use our e-commerce API to do real-time requests into LS Central, for example, to look up inventory in physical stores, to validate gift cards, doing basket calculations, and then, of course, to post transactions in real time. So this is the scene, and let's dive in. So I'm going to open up my browser control here, my browser window. So in this demo, we are working with our standard demo data. So we already have everything set up on the backend, and all the items and all the data has been replicated over to the Magento site. Now we start by looking at the Magento admin console where we configure the front end, and I've already navigated there and logged on. So the first thing to note here is that in the menu categories that we have here, we can see that we have now a new tab or a new category for LS Retail. And this is where we do the configuration of our Magento extension. So here we have, well, if we step through it, we have the basic configuration, and what this allows us to do is to configure to which instance of the Omni server we are connecting to, the IP address, etc., etc. And it also allows us to control and configure various aspects of how our extension behaves. So, for example, we can configure the replication, look at the batch size, how frequently we should synchronize with LS Central, etc., etc. We have the ability to switch on and off various features in our user interface. For example, whether to do inventory checks before we add items into the basket. And the list goes on and on, allowing us to configure various elements all the way to doing just standard housekeeping on our database. So apart from standard configuration, this is also where we maintain the replication. And for that, we use what's known in the Magento community as cron jobs. So we can schedule our replication using these cron jobs, which, as I said, are a component within Magento that allow us to do or schedule such tasks. So here in the cron listing, you can see each replication job and the status of it. So in no particular order here, we are seeing the status for our item replication, our price replication, barcodes, variants, attributes, etc., etc. And then we also can look at the detailed replication status of each and every task. So let's say we are, for debugging purposes or making sure if certain items or certain batches have made it over, then we can drill into individual cron jobs and see the low-level data of what has gone over the wire and has entered into the data structures in Magento. All right, so this was an overview of the backend of the admin panel in Magento, but let's turn our attention to the front end. Now, if you attended the earlier webinar this week, you will know that we support both the open source version of Magento and also the commerce version or their enterprise platform. Now, for the sake of simplicity, I will be demoing the open source platform today, and then I'll explain a little bit later in the webinar how you can access the demo site for the commerce or the enterprise environment. But this is our front end for our public demo site. And in this demo site, we have basically a typical e-commerce site where we see the more common or the most common UI components of an e-commerce site. And we have the search input fields, we have big images and banners as are fashionable in e-commerce today. We have rotators for the product categories, whether that's for the men's collection or for the ladies collection. We have controls such as a carousel to highlight the featured products. When we navigate over with our mouse over a certain item, we have constructs such as the on mouse over, as you can see here, as we navigate my mouse over each individual item. And then, as I said, we have the typical or the usual suspects of being able to access the cart here in the top right corner, and also the menu bar here, where we are seeing our new dynamic item hierarchy. Now, what we are seeing here is that the look and feel of the site and how it behaves and the look and feel is always largely dictated by the theme that is selected for the website. Now, for this particular website, we have selected one of the Porto themes, which are readily available themes that you can buy off the internet. So the Porto theme that we chose, number 13, is just a typical theme, as you can see, a typical big banner theme. But just to show you how easy it is to navigate and choose another template to put on your site, then if we look at the website from Porto, where we can see the Porto themes, then as you can see here, there are 25 or to 30 themes that are pre-configured, ready, that you can put on top of our Magento solution to dictate how the look and feel of your website is. And then it's, of course, up to you to replace the banners with your own advertising and your signage. So to look at an example, we can always drill down into individual demos for each and every theme. So here we see the Porto theme number 3, which looks like an elegant theme for fashion, crisp and clean. But as I said, the look and feel of the website is all about the theme that is selected, and this is obviously just all about HTML and CSS and working with those constructs. So we have a choice of either selecting a already available theme off the internet, so from some theme provider, or you could do like our friends at Utiliv did, where they took a predefined theme, and then employed a graphic designer to take it a little bit further and put in the final touches so it would be as they like it to be. And then, of course, you have the ability to either buy or get for free various components, various user interface components from the Magento marketplace. So whether those are smart search boxes like we have here, where we can already see popular searches, recent searches, and when we do search, we see the result set in the window there, so we don't have to navigate away from the context that we already are in. So there are a number of components that you can acquire from the Magento marketplace, whether it's, as I said, a smart search box, a one-step checkout component, and so forth. All right, so let's dive in. When we shop through our Magento frontend, we can of course shop anonymously as is needed in today's e-commerce environment. But in order to enjoy all the benefits of our loyalty features, then we do recommend, of course, that you create an account. So if we go and, or when we create an account, to be more exact, what happens then is that we automatically create a member account in LS Central. So a member contact, to be more exact. So as I said, when we register as a new user on the e-commerce platform, automatically and instantly a new member contact is formed in our member management system in LS Central. And it also works in the reverse order, so you can also, for existing members in LSNAV, log on to the e-commerce platform so that the user registration works everywhere. So it really doesn't matter where you register as a member contact. But I already have an account, so I'm going to sign in. And on signing in, I go directly to my account page, where I can see information about my account. I can see my contact information. I can see whether I'm subscribed to any newsletters. I see my address book, where I've defined my billing and shipping addresses. And we go to the club information, which tells me which loyalty club I belong to. I can see here how many loyalty points I've earned through my business with the company. I can see the loyalty level or the loyalty tier that I belong to. So I'm currently a bronze member, and we can also display the next level that I'm applicable for, how many points are needed to advance to that level, and if there are any perks or benefits to add to that level or upgrade to that level, we can highlight them here. And then, of course, we have a view of our recent orders. We can also simply go to my orders and see a complete list of the transactions that I have with this company. And we can go in and we can view an old transaction. So as we can see here we have bought some items with a mix and match discount. And we also have the elegant feature of being able to reorder quickly an old order. So that means that we have basically a one-click mechanism to put all the contents that you bought in a transaction into the shopping cart, and so you can easily buy it again. All right, but let's then walk through a few transactions. And the first transaction that we're going to walk through is simply a no-frills home delivery order to get to know the basics. So when we are searching for items, there are obviously various ways to find them. We can follow the links that we see here on the front page. We can drill down into the hierarchies that we see here, or drill down into the product categories that we see here in the hierarchy, or we can also just search for items. And it's still not summer in Iceland, so I'm going to search for a hat. And here we see a few hats. Let's take a look at this one here, the Swedish hat. And yeah, I like this one. So what we are seeing here is basically just the product detail page where we have an item that we can zoom into. If this Swedish hat would have multiple pictures, we would see them here as well. We have the description, we have the price, we have whether it's available in stock. We have the connectivity to the social media that we get along with the theme that we choose. We have the details on the item. Admittedly, not much details to be had on this Swedish hat, but this is basically what we allow you to configure in the LS Central item card. So on the item card in LS Central, you can completely configure which details you see about the items and enter in as much on the details and as much of a detailed text as you wish. We also see here in the more information tab our attributes, and the attributes in the attributes are one of the elements that we find in LS Central that we have replicated over to the e-commerce platform and can use there. So here we can see here that the fabric type is wool, and we have some other potentials such as to give washing instructions. But these attributes come in handy because we can also search from them. So if I were in the mood to search for something warm, I can simply search for everything made out of wool. And so these elements or these items that we find here, they all have things in common that they contain wool. So attributes are a very handy element because you can search for them as well. But we're not done with the Swedish hat yet. So as I said in the beginning, we replicate all of the data over to the e-commerce platforms for the e-commerce platform to be as efficient and as possible. But there are also real-time web services into LS Central that we make use of. And here we have one of them, this link here to check the availability in stores. Now, well, for me personally, at least, I always need to look in the mirror to see if a hat fits or not. So I'm inclined to find a store where this hat would be in stock and try it out and have a look in the mirror. So now when we click on it, what just happened now is that we did a real-time inventory lookup into LS Central and found that these two stores in London carry this hat in stock at the moment. So I can select either of these locations and navigate or simply go to that store and try the hat on before committing to the purchase. But in this case, I'm going to take my chances. So we add it to the cart. And here in the cart component, we can see that we have or in this theme, we have a mini cart component or an overlay that we don't need to navigate away from the context that we are in to see the cart. And here we can either go to the specific cart page or just go directly to the checkout. So in the checkout process, the first thing to do is to handle the shipping. And here in this demo, we have two options. We either have a fixed flat rate home delivery shipping model and also the availability to do click and collect and pick it up in the store. So what we see here is just completely dependent on the shaping modules that you select in the Magento environment. So in the Magento ecosystem, you can pick and choose shipping modules from DHL, UPS, just whatever fits. And if you select them and enable them, you will see those come available as available shipping methods. But I'm going to select just the flat rate shipping and go over to the payments. The exact same thing applies here. Those payment modules that you download from the marketplace and enable on the environment will become available here. So for the sake of simplicity, we are going to be working with a pay on delivery model here. So we don't need to hammer in a credit card number for each and every transaction that I'll demo. But here I would like to draw your attention to both that both the fact that when we put the Swedish hat in the basket, what happened then is that we sent the basket over to LS Retail or over to LS Central for the calculation. So it's the same calculation engine that calculates the e-commerce basket as calculates the POS transactions. So all prices, all discounts are the same in the online scenario as is in the brick and mortar scenario. So there are no discrepancies there. Another byproduct that we gain by this is that when LS Retail or LS Central calculates the basket, we also get back the expected or the points that we will be accumulating or gaining with this transaction. So here we can see that I'm going to earn 25 points if I commit to this transaction. Another thing that I would like to draw your attention to is that with our e-commerce solution, we support multiple tenders on each and every transaction. So here we are going to pay with a check or a delivery method, but we also have the ability to add a coupon code onto the transaction. We also have the ability to part pay the transaction with our loyalty points. And we also have the ability to add a gift card to either fully pay the transaction or part pay the transaction. So what you can do is that you can have all 4 payment methods on the same transaction. You can use a gift card, you can part pay some with your loyalty points, you can apply a discount code to the transaction as a whole or an individual item, and you can pay the rest either with a credit card or with just a money order or a check. But let's place the order. And what happens now is that the order is immediately posted or sent over to LS Central. And as the confirmation tells me here, I get an email confirmation about my transaction. So let's head on to or into LS Central to process the order. So I need to refresh my connection. So here we are. So home delivery orders, they enter into LS Central as sales orders. So we go into the sales orders, and at the bottom, we see my sales order my order that I just posted. We can see here, we have the shipment charge and we have the Swedish hat that we just bought. And the way we post the order here is simply to go into posting and posting it with ship and invoice. And what basically happens now is that the order has been handed over to the standard warehousing model in Business Central for picking and shipping out to the customer. And as well, we have activated the needed webhooks so that Magento will receive a notification that the item has shipped. So Magento can now update my order history as well as send me an email that the parcel is on its way. Very good. So let's go on to the next transaction. And here we are going to do another home delivery order, but we are going to look into a concept called proactive discount recognition. So in the last transaction, we briefly saw how LS Retail does the basket calculation. So as we added the Swedish hat into the basket, Magento sent the basket content into LS Central for the basket calculation, and we got back results. And with the Swedish hat, there were no discounts. But of course, we need to be able to proactively tell the user about any discounts should they apply. So what we have done is that we now replicate all the discounts that are available for the e-commerce store to the Magento frontend, to the e-commerce frontend. So when we are searching for items, let's say we are shopping for jeans, we select the Linda line jean here, or we view that, then we can see now that Magento can sense this discount offer. So we have the traditional method of displaying an offer where we strike through the original price and show the new price. So if we drill down into the item, we see it even further. So here we have a proactive sense of this discount being applied. And if we add the item to the cart, we send the basket over to LS Central for calculation. And if we expand on it, we can see that that is indeed what happens. We get a 15% discount of the jeans. But the proactive discount recognition handles more than just standard discount. It also handles mix and match. So we can browse here to this button here to find the discounts. And while this page was loading, we did a real-time inventory or a real-time web service request into LS Central to respond with all the discounts that would apply to this product. And we can see here that, yes, we do have this 15% promotion that we have just activated, but we also have a 20% off combo offer where we add some other items in order to activate a mix and match discount. So we can click this link here and see the items that we need to add to the transaction to activate this mix and match discount. So we check out this skirt, that is mandatory. Yep, let's go for that one as well. I like the red color, size 38. We add it to the cart. We send the basket again into LS Central for calculation. And now when we get the reply back, we can see that now, since the mix and match offer has higher priority, we have now overridden the original offer for the jeans, and now we have a 20% discount off both these items as we activated the mix and match discount. So, but with this proactive discount recognition, we also wanted to have the loyalty elements in a proactive manner as well, because in many websites, or with many loyalty programs, it's never clear exactly what you're entitled to in these loyalty programs. So here we allow you to go to the loyalty element or the loyalty page, and here we have simply stacked up all of the offers, loyalty offers, basically all offers, whether it's generic offers or whether they are personal offers towards you. Here you can see all of the offers that do apply and are applicable for you. Now, whether that's a generic promotion or a generic mix and match discount like we just found out, whether it's a coupon personalized for you or a generic one, it's all here. So here we see that this leather backpack is on a 20% discount if we apply a certain coupon. So that interests me. So I can go directly to the product. So we see the leather backpack. And again, with the proactiveness, if I had navigated to the page for the backpack, not knowing about any coupons, I can always go and find the discounts and see if there are any discounts that do apply. So I'm being made proactively aware that I do indeed have a coupon for this particular product. So I'm going to add it to the cart. And here we go. We have the backpack added. We go to our checkout phase, to the checkout page. Again, just flat rate shipping. Going over to the payment section, we do pay on delivery. And now these three elements here, the added tenders, they come into play because for the discount code, we now see that because we have the leather backpack in our cart, we are proactively being made aware of that we do have this coupon code that we can select and we can apply to the transaction. And then we send the contents of the basket yet again into LSNEV to calculation, and we could see now that the order balance was reduced accordingly. So we place the order, and just as earlier, everything is instantly posted into or instantly replicated into LS Central for us to post the transaction there. All right, one more transaction before we're done. And now I would like to show you how click and collect works. So very briefly, I'm going to search for a dress. Here we get the Elsa Oslo dress. That looks good. Let's purchase that. I like the blue color. Let's go for a size medium. We add to the cart. And we directly go to the checkout. We select now click and collect. And now we need to select the store to pick the item up from. So we can either select it from a list, or we can also select it from a more graphical format. So these are all the stores that do work with the click and collect program. So this one is in my vicinity. So I'm going to check the availability. Now we just did yet again a real-time inventory lookup into LS Central to see if these items are available. They are available for click and collect in this store. So we select this store for pickup. We go over to the payment section, and with click and collect, you pay once you pick up the items in the store, sorry. But you can of course add part payments as well. So if we look at loyalty points now, let's by all means use some of the loyalty points that I have. So each 10 points gives me $1 US. So if we add 50 loyalty points, we will reduce the item by $5. So we place the order, and this order has now been replicated or posted into LS Central as a customer order. So we now open up the POS in LS Central, log on, select the right profile, and the sales associate on the POS gets a retail message that there is a click and collect order outstanding. We can also just navigate to the customer orders. We filter on the orders that are to be picked. Here we see my order from Petur Sigurdsson. We pick it. We see the Elsa Oslo dress. We print. What happens now is that we do print out a picking slip so that the sales associate goes out to the store, retrieves the dress, and if the dress is available, we confirm it. And now we need to disclose where we are storing the item until I come and pick it up. So let's say shelf number 22. And we're done. The system now sends me an email saying, hey, Peter, feel free to pick up your item at this address or at this location in a day or two. That's a business rule, how you configure that. So when I come to the store, again, we go to the customer orders. We filter on the orders to be collected. We collect it. Here we see the Elsa Oslo dress. We can pick it up in shelf number 22. And what happens then is that we basically put the contents of the order into a transaction on the POS. So here we can see the Elsa Oslo dress that we just bought, and also the $5 deposit, or the where I redeemed my loyalty points and used my loyalty points as a part payment. So this is how it goes over to the point of sale. So we quickly conclude the transaction and off we go. So one more thing to show you before the demo is over. With our integration, everything is unified commerce. That means that everything is driven from the same core solution, being LS Central. So in other words, everything is linked and everything is in real time. And an example of this is the centralized transaction repository. So what happens now is that regardless of the channel where you bought the item, whether it's on the POS or online on the e-commerce platforms, all the transactions are accumulated now into a single centralized transaction repository. So this allows for accurate customer history and also frictionless returns. So we can indeed return in store what we bought online. So if we go to the transactions here on the POS, we can look up a transaction that we bought online. So we can scan a barcode from the confirmation email, for example. So S90023, we look that up and we select it. And here we can see on the POS that we can now return the Swedish hat that we bought in the original transaction that we did in this demo. So indeed, you can return in store what you bought online. And it applies in the opposite direction as well. What you buy on the POS becomes visible in the history online as well. So if I identify myself as a member contact onto the transaction, search for my name, here I am, we add my identity to the transaction, we then buy something, let's say from the Linda line, let's just say the Linda sweater for $80, pay in cash to conclude the transaction. If we now go to the e-commerce platform and we go to my account, my orders, then the top entry is indeed the transaction that we just concluded on the point of sale. So as we view it, here we have the Linda sweater for $80. So as I said, my order history, both on the POS and on the e-commerce platform, now stems from this centralized transaction repository. So all transactions are available everywhere, regardless of the origin. So just as a reminder, so even if this was our environment for today's demo, then please realize that all of our other e-commerce platforms, they consume the exact same e-commerce API, and hence they have all the potential to support the same features as I just demonstrated. Now, so to get you started, let's see how you can get access to our demo environment. Well, there are two options. Well, first of all, you always have access to our Magento demo site. So this is our public cloud-hosted demo site operating on our standard demo data that we release with LS Central. So if you would like to briefly check out the features, or you just need to do a quick front-end demo on our standard demo data, then this is the way to go. The other option is to do a local setup. Now, this allows you to work with your own local data. And well, if you're proficient in working with Magento, then by all means install a local environment so you're in full control. But we also give you a shortcut, since we now allow you to download our Ubuntu virtual machine that comes pre-configured with everything already installed and configured. Easy as pie, as someone sometimes said. So there is no Linux-based knowledge needed, and everything is simply operated in the standard Hyper-V manager that you are probably familiar with from our standard virtual machines. Then what you need to do is just to connect it to your local instance of LS Central. Now, whether that's a local install, adding in the Omni server, or perhaps just more conveniently connecting it to our standard issue LS Central virtual machine. In both cases, you are working with your local data, which you can now replicate over to Magento to see any new items, prices, discounts, or whatever you choose to add or modify. And to get the instructions on how to do all of this, then we head to our LS Retail portal. Here on the portal, we navigate to LS eCommerce. Here we have some literature on the product, the architecture overview, and then we have the chapter on Magento. So the demo environment chapter is the one that we are searching for here. So here we have the links to the demo sites, both the open source version and the commerce version, like I spoke of earlier. And then in order to download and install the local virtual machine, we have this paragraph here that instructs us to go to the downloads section on this page and retrieve the virtual machine setup document. If we're looking for a local install, then the same applies. Go to the download section and refer to our technical manual. So we go to the download section, we open up the folder for Magento. Here we have our feature guide, the technical manual, and the virtual machine setup document. Let's open that quickly and have a quick look. So here in this document, if we briefly go through this, we have the links to download the community edition virtual machine or the enterprise edition virtual machine. These virtual machines, they are built on a slightly modified version of the classical LAMP stack. So here we have Ubuntu, Nginx, MySQL, and PHP. Then either it contains the open source platform or the commerce platform of Magento. Our extension on top, the portal theme on top of that, and all the demo data replicated over. The prerequisites, of course, you need to have LS Central and OmniServer. If you're connecting it to a local install of LS Central, then you have the instructions here on to how to install the OmniServer and connect it to your local install of LS Central. But if you're working with the standard issue virtual machine from LS Central, then everything is already pre-installed and pre-configured to work out of the box, including the setup of the OmniServer. So as we navigate through the document, you simply download the Ubuntu virtual machine, you insert it into the Hyper-V manager and fire it up. It's as simple as that. Then there are a few steps needed in order to access the Magento environment from your local machine and not just within the virtual machine. And I leave it to you to work your way through that chapter to get that up and running. And finally, the only thing that's left is to go to the administrator console that we got to know a minute ago and do the needed configuration in order to point the Magento instance to the correct instance of the OmniServer and get the replication going. So please just dig in and follow the documentation to a T and you're in fine shape. The same applies if you would like to do a local install, then the technical document takes you through the very same steps on how to download Magento, how to install our extension on top, and how to configure everything. Then let's turn our attention to our efforts in supporting our customers. A while back, we at LS Retail adjusted our e-commerce pricing from a single tier model towards a new model scaling more favorably to smaller businesses. And in these challenging times, we would like to support our customers even further by creating a promotion to help current customers keep up with this new online demand caused by the coronavirus pandemic. So in short, all LS Central and LS NEV customers with an active enhancement plan who place an order for LS eCommerce will receive a 50% discount on the e-commerce modules as well as on the initial enhancement plan. This promotion will be in effect until June the 30th and applies equally as well to our subscription customers, whom are as well entitled to an extra 50% discount on LS eCommerce from 1 year from the time of purchase. And if we quickly put this in context to quantify this, then the license fee for a small business with 5 POS comes out with this promotion at around 1,550 euros for a perpetual license, while the cost for a chain of stores with 50 POS comes out at a cost of around 2,200 euros, again, for a perpetual license. So please go to our portal for the details on this effort to support our customers. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending today's webinar. If you have any further questions or more questions, please send them to me via email. On behalf of LS Retail, thank you very much for joining me today. It's been a great session, very lively audience. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.